Changing chords quickly is a boogaboo for a lot of people. And one thing that I don't hear a lot of people say that I preach, there's another video where I talk about this. We're going to do a practice to help you develop this. You do not have to strum all these strings in the chord that you're wanting to play all at the same time as soon as you change that chord. You have a minute to change. As long as you get to the root note, the bass note, the one that kind of names where you're going in time, you've got that extra second to add the remaining fingers. Nobody's going to be able to tell the difference. I still play like this. And in fact, it makes the playing more interesting. Instead of going straight to, if you go bass, like a drum, bass, snare. The low part first, come in on the beat, boom, on the chord change, and then embellish with the light, higher notes. It sounds better anyway, and it just so happens that that is great if changing chords quickly is difficult for you because it gives you an extra second to do it. We're going to do some exercises to show you this, and of course, I'm going to show you from your point of view. This is going to be just a fun, little simple type thing that you can do, but it's going to pay dividends immensely, okay? Let's take like what they call a G6. I call it an easy G, where you're basically just making the bass notes, right? So you take your your second finger, your middle finger on the 3rd fret, top string, 6th string. And you place your index there on the 5th string, 2nd fret, okay? I teach that in my beginner course. Coming from an E minor, it's really easy, and it works your stronger fingers. You're not having to really develop your weaker fingers yet, okay? So I kind of start with that. If you want to just do a practice where you're strumming that G and you're hitting it, but whichever variation of the G, so if you just want to play, you know, there's a couple ways to do it. Let's say you just put your ring finger on the 2nd string, 3rd fret, okay? That's one way to do it. Okay, so let's say you want to do that. Practice making the easy G, and then on the 2nd strum, or even the 3rd, depending on what rhythm you're doing, okay, let's say we're going to go to the, we're going to do the 1st string instead of that one, okay, with your ring finger, to get that really high G. Now, obviously, you can get there sooner. If you can, great. But if you can't, you hear how good that sounds? And I'm dong, dong, ding, ding, dong, dong, ding, ding. I've got all that time to find it. So if that's difficult for you, wait till you get to that ding-a-ding part, right? Let's do them all, or both. Let's say you want to do that. So you got your ring finger, your 3rd finger on your 2nd string, 3rd fret, and your pinky, okay? Ooh, the pinky. That's gonna hurt, right? 1st string, 3rd fret. Okay, so that's the full practice with that. Same difference. You know, you can have them poised and kind of ready, because if you're curving around correctly, you're gonna be kind of in position anyway. And if you just need that extra second to get there, you know, because you might miss them at first or something, but after a while, that's going to become muscle memory. I use a lot Sullivan Street by Counting Crows. Let's see. takes me to get there. But that song is kind of written that way and it sounds beautiful. So just practice that, you know, with a G. And then if you want to go down, if you want to do a C add 9, say, which is basically what you do with a G, except you drop your first and second finger down a string each, right? You can do the same thing. Now that sounds a little different when you play it open too many times. It's a cool sound, but it's a really big difference between that and but if you want to practice this with the C major shape where you're changing your fingers, so you're not going to be using your first and second finger to make those bass notes. You're going to be using your ring finger on the 5th string, 3rd fret, and then your middle finger goes on the 4th string, 2nd fret, and then the later add would be on the 2nd string, 1st fret with your index finger. Right, to make it C. So you could practice doing their G. Let's say you wanted to dress that C up and add your pinky as well. Same concept. You don't have to get there as soon as you make that first strum. That's mainly for the bass notes. If you're keeping time with that, you've got a second to add everything and it's still going to sound really cool. Last one I'm going to show you is the D. So D sus2, I love playing that anyway. I love the way it sounds. That's just the D without the middle finger. You're playing that open. Okay, so let's just come from that G. See how late I was getting to all those high notes, that first string? So just practice that, get used to that. That way you're not freaking out, right? You're not freaking, I've got to change chords quickly. You know, because the way when you read a chord chart or a diagram and it shows you where to place your fingers, you think, oh gosh, I got to go from this to this immediately. Well, yes and no. I mean, you don't have to, right? I mean, you heard how good that sounded with me waiting a minute, right? If you need help with the fundamentals, you want to learn from my mistakes, shave off years of your learning, go to MyPOVGuitar.com, check out the beginner course. But until then, I'll see you in the next lesson.